Good morning. This title, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have my earrings on. I forgot to put earrings on. So, side, earrings are a thing for me. That's why I've got my so many holes in my ears. And I realized that I haven't been wearing them as often as I'd like. So anyway, good morning. Um, what is that on my the virgin and the whore. You know, it's just what came to me this morning. And I think it was based on a conversation that I had with a client yesterday talking about women's sexuality and responsibility. Good morning and welcome. Um, so, the virgin and the whore, let's talk about it. We have a society that likes women to be either the virgin or the whore. Um, I've had many conversations with men who, uh, while they desire the freedom and the spontaneity of the horror personality, and I'm talking about like personalities, guys. Um, they choose the virgin because they think it's more acceptable. And I mean, this isn't about men and their preferences or choices, by the way. Everybody's more than welcome to want what they want. This is really about women integrating and understanding their power. The virgin is the woman who sometimes needs saving. She is the woman who doesn't talk about her desires much. She is the woman who seems sexually demure, the good girl, the respectable one, the good wife. She is based off of what people feel the Virgin Mary was. And so we have that side. The whore is based off of the other Mary, Mary of Magdala. She is the Jezebel. She is too wild. She cannot be tamed. She kind of does whatever she wants to do. She's the freak, nasty, uh, all these things that have come to be viewed as negative. I tell you, this construction going on outside is like, um, and it is almost as though women have had to be put in a position to choose to be one or the other, when we can, in fact, be both and even more than all of that. So here's how this, and I used this scenario yesterday with my client. Here's how the virgin and the whore play out for some women, for a lot of women. We don't want to be responsible for our sexual desires. Like we want certain sexual things, but we don't want to say we want them because for some reason then that makes us like freak nasty. So a woman will want to have sex with a guy, but she won't tell him, right? Because apparently that's not something that you do. And some of y'all will be like, that's not something women do. Yeah, I'm probably not the person you should be watching. You might want to just like keep scrolling, go on by. Just ignore this live stream altogether. All right, I gotta put my AirPods in because I'm having difficulty hearing my own self speak. Hold on. I'm having difficulty hearing my own self talk. Um, Okay, I feel like that's a little, I feel like I'm more enclosed and less out there with the construction. All right, so what it looks like is a woman who wants to have sex with a guy, but she doesn't say anything, right? But she just keeps like kind of dropping hints, hoping that the man reads her mind. And I'm being gender specific. Obviously, this applies to any equation. Okay. Um, she's hoping that he reads her mind. So it looks like going over to his house to watch a movie, because you don't want to go over to his house because you want to fuck, right? You don't want to do that. And I'm going to get into 2 reasons why you probably don't want to do that. I have to remember to come back to that. So you go over to his house and you play like coy. You sit next to him, you snuggle, you're watching a movie, put your head on his shoulder, you know, you nuzzle in his neck. You send him all these physical signals to say, I want to have sex with you. Now, we've already had previous discussions about this, right, when it comes to communication, because if you're giving tips and hints and signs that this is what you want to do, chances are you haven't had any actual conversations about sexual preferences, what you like, what you don't like, to make this experience the best experience it could be for you. Okay? So then a couple of things happen. Y'all have sex and then walk away going, ah, that was whack. He didn't know what he was doing. How could he? Because he didn't have any instructions. You didn't tell him what you like, didn't like. Well, you know, that was okay. That was all right. You got lucky. I want to go back to the, see, I lost my train of thought. I should have gone there first. The reasons why women don't say anything up front is partly because we're afraid of how we're going to be perceived. Like, we're scared of what this person's going to think of us if we're honest about what it is that we want. And we don't want them to think we do this with everybody. We don't want them to think that we're loose. We don't want them to not have respect for us. And so we deny ourselves the opportunity of growth. Now, I'm not on this particular topic. I'm not going to speak for men, and what men desire or think is okay, because I know of a spectrum of men. I know a spectrum of men from if a woman told me that, I would think she was a slut, to I would be so grateful if a woman came to me and was honest with me and said this is what she wanted to do and we could just talk about it up front. I know a whole spectrum. You know, so you pick what you like from that. But for women, when we deny the archetype of the whore, we deny some of our most intrinsic, some of our most visceral power. And I'm speaking of archetype, right? Not, I have no issue with sex workers, for real. Some people consider me a sex worker. But I'm not talking about sex workers. I'm talking about this view of women as needing to be chaste, pure, holy, of denying that part of ourselves, of wanting to explore and experience, but not wanting to be responsible for the exploration and the experiences. That part of us that wants to leave it up to the man to determine what happens so that we can walk away and say, I didn't do that. That wasn't me. You know, yeah, we had sex, but, you know, it wasn't because I pursued it. when that was really the whole reason why you went over to his house at 9 o'clock, dressed in your best underwear, smelling like pheromones, was to create that scenario. And if he didn't respond, you'd have been pissed because he didn't catch the hints. But the reason why we do this in part is because we've been given the archetype of the virgin to have to follow. This idea of what the good girl and the good woman is. Now, I guarantee you, well, I don't want to say I guarantee you, but this is not about, I'm trying to figure out how to put this into English. I personally don't care what you do with your body and your time. Let me be honest. This is not me saying you should go out and sleep with 10 dudes this week. But this is also not me saying you should be celibate until marriage. At the end of the day, you have to choose what feels best in your soul. And that's where it comes back to. You have to decide within your soul who you are. And that doesn't mean that you have to choose to be the virgin or the whore. And it doesn't mean that for most of us, we have tried to gravitate toward the virgin with a hidden whore. This is about you owning who you are, whoever that is, just owning it. Own it. If you are the woman who's like, I'm absolutely not going to have any sex with anyone until he is my husband, or we are in a solid relationship, and you are clear, like aligned with that, that's what it is. If you are a woman who is clearly aligned with the fact that you have no interest in getting married, and you just feel like your soul's calling is to have these experiences here and there and every who, you are aligned with that. It's when we try to play the verses, one or the other is better, or when we try to pretend to be one and not, and we're not that. When we try to suppress one or the other, that we run into difficulties and issues. Because if you are playing the virgin role with so when I, like, to me, whore tendencies isn't just like to sleep with a bunch of people. It also encompasses this this free-spiritedness, this seductive, sultry nature. I think of Dorothy Dandridge in Carmen, I think of a Marilyn Monroe type, the pinup folk. I think of Josephine Baker. When I think of that archetype, there's this almost dangerous freedom that some of the women seem to exhibit. And again, these are all based on stereotypes that we've been given too, right? And because we live in this society that has worked so very hard to strip women of their sexual power, to take on any of those parts of the archetype of the whore becomes an issue. And so then if you really have those tendencies, but you're trying so hard to present yourself as the virginal person, and then you find yourself in relationships in which you have to pretend to be someone you're not. By the way, men do this too. Theirs is different, but men do this too. It doesn't have to be an either or, by the way. It can be a both and. We don't have to continue to split the parts of our womanhood, of our femininity. I mean, and this doesn't, we all know the phrase, you can absolutely be a lady in the streets and a freak in the bed. I mean, but we don't have to cut parts of ourselves out. We didn't come here to be a pizza person. We came here for a full soul experience. And it's so important that we get in alignment with that, as opposed to trying to fit a role that we've been given or that society has given us. There are millions of opinions out there about how women should be and how they should be in relationships. There are millions of opinions here on Facebook, ranging from women as should be seeking to be wives, and should dress modestly and should be homemakers, and there are opinions on Facebook that say women should, use what they got to get what they need to get. And then a whole span of things in between. Choose one. What resonates with you? But find out what resonates with you. Don't assume that one way or the other is the right way for every woman on this planet. But also, what other people are saying isn't necessarily bad or wrong either. It doesn't have to be one or the other. I don't know what good is. To me, that always seems to signify obedient and so forth and so on. And I personally have a problem with women being obedient. I think all humans should listen to their soul and a higher spiritual calling. If that's obedience, then that's fine. But when I hear obedience, I have other connotations that come up in my mind. So I'm not a particular fan of the word. You can be, I don't know how I feel about chaste or pure either. And I feel like that puts a value on a woman's pussy, and that doesn't resonate for me. It doesn't resonate for me that somehow that a woman's value is tied to one particular body part. To me, it's like saying my value is tied to, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It doesn't work for me. Maybe it works for you or someone else, That doesn't work for me. And when we talk about the virgin versus the whore, there's this idea of a woman's value being tied to her vagina. Now, that is a portal, and should, in my opinion, be treated with some reverence. But that doesn't negate I feel like I'm trying to mince my words here. So you can have sex with one person and they desecrate you, and not like a good 9-inch nails closer type of way, right? They defile you. You could have sex with that person for years. You could also have sexual experiences with different people where your energy is so cultivated that those experiences honor you at the apex of your altar. Yeah. So you can, it again, right? It's about aligning yourself with you. And I'm not a fan of putting a woman's value or worth into what she decides to do with her pussy. We're just not going to do that here. Not here. Other people might do it in the school. So as you go about your day to day, take some time to think about the messages that have been given to you about women and sexuality. Do you agree with them? Do you not agree with them? When you take time to sit in some silence, as we all should, and just allow the phrases or the ideas to flow through you, where are you feeling good? Where are you feeling resistance? And how is that showing up in your life? And what choices are you making and why? And what choices would you like to make? Because at the end of the day, really this whole planet, this whole thing gets better when we're really clear on who we are and are living from that perspective. Because, and a practical example, and then I'm gonna go. Practical example. A woman may believe that if she has sex with a man, it means they are now in some type of coupling because she feels like she has done something valuable with him. No real discussion to be had. She's making assumptions, he's making assumptions. And then only to find out that it wasn't what she thought it was at all. And feeling hurt, broken, and victimized as though he did something to her because he should have known to honor the gift of the sex that she gave him. Now, I'm not going to debate that sex is a gift for men and women, though. I mean, I'm not, and that it be lovely if it was honored, but you don't know if a person thinks that way unless you have a conversation with them. Right? So maybe that's a question to ask. Here's another woman who it's clear that, she wants to have sex with this guy, and, she tells him, look, this is, I'd like to have sex with you, but I want you to know that this is, to me, it's something that means that we're, leading into something greater. And yes, there's always a chance that a guy's going to lie and say, yeah, sure it is. Absolutely. And I could do a whole nother talk on discernment and asking some of the right questions to see if that man is gonna do that or not. But let's assume that he's not that type of guy for right now. And she's like, yeah, usually I only do this if it leads to something deeper. And he can say, well, actually, I would like this to be something deeper. Or he might go, yeah, that's not really what I'm looking for right now. And at that point, you have a choice. You can have the experience with him and enjoy the experience, or you can say, well, thank you for your time and keep it moving. But when we're honest about who we are and what we want, we avoid the heartache, the pain, and the blame that often comes along with a lack of communication and understanding of our own selves. That goes for men too, by the way, who feel like they've been victimized by women and used by women. And, well, I thought since I did this for her that she would, okay, but the question is always, did you talk about it? Right? So examine your views on women and sexuality. If you're a man, examine your views too. And this is not to be a right or a wrong thing. This is really just to examine the views and to see what resonates most with you so that you can begin to make decisions moving forward from that space and not the space of, let me kind of give them what they want, show them what they need, or, some other type of false area. Be you. and create the experiences that you want to have. Okay? All right. That's it for today. You all go out, enjoy your, is it Monday? It's Monday. Still feels like the days are blowing and blurring. Anyway, blowing. Have a good day, y'all. Bye.